Hey, this is Jeff. Welcome back to Coito Ergo Sum, Less Talk, More Action, a series which I almost forgot used to have a pithy tagline at the start of every episode. I wrapped it up a few years ago, but when I kicked off the DLC crossover walkthrough, I started from Courier Jeff's last save. The Old World Blues module required a few tweaks to the Coito Ergo Sum base mod, and that update, 4.2, also includes some new features unrelated to the DLC. I wanted to cover those before starting Lonesome Road for a few reasons, which brings us to the tops. When Kakata and I went to a midnight movie at the Mojave Drive-In and got abducted, it wasn't exactly a relaxing night out. So we came here to see a show and spend the night in the presidential suite. I got the key after I killed Benny, but I never checked it out before. Very swish. Good game. You're a pool hustler, aren't you? Hey, what's this over here? It's a skill book! Who could have ever guessed? That's one of the reasons I didn't want to start Lonesome Road yet. Courier Jeff is on pace to come up just a few points shy of straight hundreds when he hits level 50, which also happened to Lone Wanderer Jeff in Fallout 3, and that made me sad. So between the 3 skills that still aren't 100, I need to find 5 books before I do anything that'll earn a lot of XP. Or 4, now that I have this one. Full disclosure, I broke out the cheat sheet I used for the Skills Dash series to see where there might be some that Courier Jeff hadn't picked up yet. I know that might call my role-playing purist credentials into question, but Courier Jeff has an extensive network of friends and contacts in the Mojave, so it seems perfectly reasonable that he could ask if they had any laying around. To support that premise, I'm only going to pick up the ones that are in locations where my reputation with the residents is positive. The ones in locations I never visited or the inhabitants are hostile, I'm going to leave alone unless there's a legit in-game reason to go there. And this place is very nice. How about a rematch? I almost forgot to read the book. Unarmed up by 4. Excellent. Best out of 5? It's bright and early the next day, and this morning we're going to kill our third bird with one stone, because one of the new features in the 4.2 update is that all the NPCs who were previously marked as planned but not implemented in the optional hints and tips file on the Nexus are now available to appear in the magazine. I'm probably not going to recruit each and every one of them. Well, I can't, because some of them, like Benny, are dead. But someone I know still happens to be alive and well is the one and only Tommy Torini, manager of the Aces Theater. At least he was last night. I know that sounds like I'm setting up a murder mystery, but I'm not. I hope.
Well, if it ain't the best loved cat on the strip in my theater, what could Tommy do for you, baby?
Good, he is still alive. Anyway, interested in some free publicity for the theater?
You know it, baby.
If you don't know him very well, this is a very hard speech check, but you get a bonus for every entertainer you recruit for him. Since Courier Jeff recruited all 4, and there's now a full slate of entertainment at the Aces Theater, the speech check is bypassed completely. Pose for He3 magazine. When it comes to entertainment and marketing, did I ever steer you wrong?
I dig it, baby. I'll be its headline act.
Yes, you will. Tommy is unsurprisingly an elite tier pick for the cover. I already shot Bruce Isaac during the original Coito Ergo Sum walkthrough, and he gets the top tier bonus for the back of the magazine. Get out the camera and take some pictures. And we'll round out the issue with Swank, who gets the top tier bonus for the front section, but he's only middle tier for the cover or back. There's technically no bonus for all models working at the tops, but it will get a bonus because they're all from the strip, so my headcanon is it's a Tops Casino theme issue. Like Tommy, Swank is one of the models who was previously on the planned but not implemented list, but is available as of the 4.2 update. However, there's another new feature I can use him to demo as soon as the photo shoot is over. And he's about to get naked. You can stay and watch if you want. I'm just too lazy to do the digital blur thing. You could previously only assign Deanna to shoot female models, but now she has the option for both. He3 magazine models. Like the female models, you can only assign her to shoot people she already knows and people you've spoken to yourself. NPCs neither one of you ever met won't be on the list, which isn't a change. But another new thing, you can see some of the models are marked exclusive. That means there's no way the player can recruit that model personally. That part isn't new either. There were always some exclusives like that, but now you can easily see which ones you have no choice but to assign her if you want them in the magazine. Most of them are for plot reasons, but some are because their dialogue trees are so screwed up that finding a way to inject the model recruitment dialogue without creating a potential incompatibility with other mods was more tricky than I was willing to risk. I did put a good faith effort into it, and I did it for the ones who were just a hassle but not hazardous. In fact, we'll see later that a few formerly exclusive female models can now be recruited by the player too. But you know what? Swank isn't an exclusive, so maybe I'll go back soon and shoot him myself. Let's send her after somebody else. How about Ranger Jackson? Get a head start on an NCR Soldiers theme issue. Yeah, that sounds good. Now we'll find Deanna and tell her there's an assignment ready. Hello.
What can I help you with?
Oh, here's another new feature. After you assign Deanna to an exclusive, she has new dialogue about them when she gets back. It's mostly just for flavor and immersion because for the ones who aren't famous, she'll say something that explains why you couldn't ask them yourself. Others, it's kind of self-explanatory lore-wise why it takes a seasoned pro with Deanna's sterling reputation as a journalist to persuade them. But it just made sense that she'd have some comment on the famous ones too. Speaking of which, how'd it go with Red Lucy?
Pretty good. That woman can kill with her eyes.
And another one in that category. Were the King's groupies any good at modeling?
Yeah, the girls. They went wild. It was quite a sight.
Sorry I missed it. There's another assignment for you on the terminal. Here's your advance.
I'm on it.
You look great in some leather armor.
Well, seeing a show at a nightclub on the Strip, spending the night at a 5-star hotel, and watching a photo shoot was all fun, but I'm still not sure it makes up for being abducted. I'm thinking Kakata's probably never seen snow. I bet she'd enjoy an honest-to-goodness ski resort. Kakata, this is Marcus. Marcus, Kakata. If you don't mind, we're going to hang around for a while, build a snowman, that kind of thing. Hey, there's some snow right there. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, let's find a room. Hey, check this out. Our bungalow's a bit on the messy side, but there's a comic book right here on the floor. If you want to freshen up after the trip, I'm just going to browse through this for a minute. Grognak the Barbarian. Melee weapons up by 4. That's 2 of the 5 I need. Okay, let's go play in the snow. If you're in a hurry to get home and check on the garden, I know a shortcut. We don't have to go all the way down the main road. There's a ranger station over this way where they spy on the great cons in Red Rock Canyon. If we scramble down the hill from there, we'll cut the trip in half at least. Comm Officer Link. I assume you haven't seen any Omertas since we last spoke. Hey, do you mind if I take this book? It looks pretty interesting, and I figure you must have it memorized by now. Speaking of reading, your issue was a bestseller. Congratulations. You know, I can't even wait until I get home. Explosives up by 4, and that's 3 out of the 5. And with Invisible Wall Remover, we really can take this shortcut. Well, this has been an awesome vacation, but I should get back to work tomorrow. And I'm sure the garden needs a lot of TLC since we were away so long. I slightly rethought my strategy for the next issue. If the models are all Rangers, it gets a higher theme bonus than if they're mixed with other NCR soldiers, but there aren't any other Rangers with top-tier section bonuses. I said this more than once, but the bonuses were determined by a public poll, so I don't always agree with them, but it is what it is. Anyway, we can publish an issue of NCR officers and enlisted personnel that does get good bonuses for all 3 sections, and then we can do an All Rangers theme with Jackson on the cover and see which one does better. So I'm going to send Deanna after Boone, who gets the top-tier appearance bonus. He's not an exclusive. You can shoot him yourself if you hire him as a companion, but he's been available for years, so that wouldn't be a demo of a new feature.
How's it going?
That was her right there.
What can I help you with?
Did you have any trouble with the commander of the Mojave Outpost?
Jackson's all right. Gave him a little attitude. He was all fired up and ready to go.
Cool. There's another assignment ready for you on the terminal. Here's your advance.
I'm on it.
How's it going? Doing good, Rondo. How about you? Now, I'm going back to the Strip to shoot Swank so we can get the Tops Casino issue in production. And I went the wrong way. I want to take the train.
So all of a sudden I'm hearing word that Mr. House ain't the boss of Vegas? Baby, that's just not square.
Hold on. Square means uncool, so not square should mean cool, right? I'm guessing not. I mean, has anything actually changed for the worse on the Strip since I took over? If you have any complaints, I'm the guy to talk to. Anyway, did you know Lollipops is back in the publishing business?
Yeah, groovy.
Yep. We even have a spin-off with male models called He3.
Now you're just talking crazy. That doesn't even pretend to make sense.
And because my reputation on the Strip is idolized, we can bypass the speech check. Do an interview and photo shoot. Call it a favor for helping get rid of Benny.
Yeah, sure. Ring a ding.
As soon as Deanna gets back, we'll send her after Manny Vargas. He gets the top-tier Big Finish bonus, and like Boone, he was previously available, so there's nothing new to demo. Well, except that he was previously only eligible for the Novak hometown theme, but Boone always qualified for the NCR enlisted theme, even though he's a retired vet, not active duty, so it seemed fair that the same should apply to Manny. And by the same token, Boone now qualifies for the Novak hometown theme, which he didn't prior to the 4.2 update. I don't consider those new features as much as bug fixes. In fact, if we added Ranger Andy to the mix, we'd have a double theme, 3 NCR vets from Novak. But then we wouldn't be able to compare apples to apples between a slightly less than perfect Rangers theme issue and a perfect non-Ranger NCR Soldiers issue, so I'm not changing course again at this point. Deanna can shoot Manny as planned. As I already said, we'll put Tommy on the cover, Swank in front, and Bruce Isaac in back. Generate output file. And one of the new features in the 4.2 update is that Larry now has theme-specific comments. He used to just have a few generic lines that let you know if your draft layout had a great theme, an okay theme, or no theme at all. It's not a big deal, just a little bit of extra feedback to help you manage the publishing minigame.
Mr. Solo, Oh, my mistake. With the satellite working, other clubs have been checking in. I was expecting a call from Lollipop Steeltown.
There's another bug fix. That was a little Easter egg referring to the Quo Vadis DLC crossover for Fallout 3. You meet Solo in the pit, and he helps you recruit models after you win your freedom in the arena. Larry was supposed to say that a week or so after you fixed the satellite comlink for Dan, but the conditions were set wrong, so it never did. I blame a lot of issues with broken dialogue in the vanilla game on the visual dialogue tool in the New Vegas construction kit, but I don't use it, specifically because I think it causes more issues than it prevents. The problem with Larry's greeting was just a boneheaded mistake on my part. Anyway, before I print it, what do you think of the current layout?
Hometown issues are always popular, a source of pride for the residents and a bit of envy elsewhere.
Okay, thanks for the advice.
My pleasure.
Goodbye.
I'll speak with you later.
Like I said, that layout qualifies for the Strip theme, but he doesn't comment on specific hometowns because he doesn't know the geography here like he does with the Capital Wasteland. He does have more specific comments on occupational and faction themes, some of which we'll see soon. There's Tommy's Luma screen. Very nice. Now let's go upstairs and see if Deanna's back. You get a message when a photo assignment is complete, but sometimes I miss it if I'm distracted fighting or climbing or blabbing or whatever. Photographer on assignment. She is not back yet. So for my Rangers versus non-Rangers experiment, I'm going to need Major Knight from the Mojave Outpost to pose. And he is new, so I'm going to go shoot him myself. He and Jackson both get the second tier bonus on the cover, good, but not elite. The cover, and by implication the centerfold, makes a bigger difference than the other two sections, but neither issue will have an advantage there. The foreplay and big finish models will be middle tier in the Ranger theme and top tier in the non-Ranger NCR military issue. And I honestly don't remember which is more important in the sales calculation. I mean, I could just go look in the GEC and check the formula, but where's the fun in that? There's the message I was talking about. Deanna is back now. We literally just left. I might as well go back and give her an assignment before schlepping all the way to the Mojave outpost. Manny Vargas? And let Deanna know.
There's more of them.
What do you need?
She doesn't have any special comment about Boone because he's not an exclusive. There's an assignment for you on the terminal. Here's your advance.
I'm on it.
While I was here, I stopped at the bar and chatted with some of my friends about rare books, and it turns out that Lacey has an explosives book behind the counter. And Deanna is back with pictures already. Maybe the reason she didn't want to talk about Boone has something to do with why it took her so much longer with him than with Manny. The problem is that the book is marked as owned, so taking it would technically be stealing. But is it really stealing if I reverse pickpocket the list price onto the owner? 50 caps. Explosives increased by 4. That's 4 of the 5 books I need. This would be a lot easier if the book was in her barter menu, but it's not. Do I need a stealth boy? I don't need a stealth boy for this. $84 caps. Close enough. She caught me. NCR infamy. Lost karma. Well, at least they're not shooting at me. Lacey, if you won't take a 67% markup on a book you literally haven't touched in years, how are you even still in business?
A platoon of veteran rangers is like a tactical nuke, only tougher to scare. Been doing a lot of good work out there, setting an example for the others. I know Ranger Jackson appreciates it.
Ever heard of He3? It's like Lollipop's magazine, but with male models.
Really? Interesting.
He's canonically gay, and if you have the confirmed bachelor perk, it bypasses his speech check. I don't, but you can also bypass it with high enough NCR rep, and despite the fiasco with Lacey's book, I do still have that. You should do an interview and photo shoot. Call it a Hearts and Minds mission.
Sure, I can sign the work order for you.
It's kind of funny. When I hit level 48 in Old World Blues, I calculated that I'd be 20 points shy of straight 100s when I hit level 50, which, like I said, that's why I decided to collect skill books from the base game before I start Lonesome Road. But the specific example I used was if it turned out I already picked up all the melee weapons and unarmed books in the game, but there were a bunch of explosives books still laying around, then I couldn't afford to put any more points into explosives when I level up. And while that's not quite the case, there really are a lot more explosives books in places I have a plausible excuse to go than there are of the other two. Like, there are melee weapons books in Cottonwood Cove, where I'm no longer welcome, and Cannibal Johnson's Cave, where I wouldn't have any reason to go unless I was doing Arcade's loyalty mission. And speaking of Cottonwood Cove, besides Benny, there are at least 2 other new models I won't be able to show you because, Courier Jeff didn't realize there were Legion captives on site when he dumped a truckload of extremely radioactive waste into the camp after he assassinated Kaisar. It's probably best if he never finds out what collateral damage he caused there. A major crisis of conscience might make for good drama, but between Veronica and Gabe, I think we've had quite enough of that. And I really need to remember to quit and enable the non-nude patch at some point. Anyway, Deanna mysteriously got back before I did, so we can go ahead and set the layout right now. Major Knight on the cover. Boone in front. And Manny in back. Before I print it, what do you think of the current layout?
There's just something about a man in uniform, isn't there?
And apparently I've never used a second-tier, good but not elite model for the cover. What do you think of my choice there?
Legitimate star power. An excellent choice.
As expected. Thanks. Rangers have been able to pose for the magazine since the early days of the mod, so we'll have Deanna shoot them. None of them are top tier for appearance, but a couple are middle tier. And let's have a look at Major Knight's Luma screen. Hey, we're over 20 issues now. issue 21, cover model. And there he is. Very nice. She can go after Ranger Erasmus. Cheat sheet says he's in the middle tier foreplay. Now where's Deanna?
Sup?
Fiona, looking very sharp in that Vera Keys replica dress. There's an assignment for you on the terminal.
I'm on it.
And while she's doing that, I can go talk to one of the new models. Actually, I think this might be another one who was previously available, but only as an exclusive with Deanna. So I guess she's technically not new, but being able to recruit her yourself is. Basically, right around the corner from the saloon, we have one of my favorite merchants in the game, the Great Khan Armorer, who's eligible for the Tribals theme and the Merchants theme. Every other female tribal has already appeared in the magazine, so that's out. And all the female merchants with top-tier section bonuses have been in it too, but there are a few with middle-tier bonuses left, so we can make that work.
They tell me I'm supposed to sell you weapons. Interested?
I had a different deal in mind. 50 caps to pose for Lollipop's magazine. It's right over the hill.
You're almost as crazy as some fiends I know. Still, I guess I might as well.
You obviously can't recruit her unless your reputation with the Great Khans is good enough that they grant you access to the armory. And apparently I enabled the non-nude patch just in the nick of time because it would seem she starts topless. You'd think I would have remembered that since it wasn't that long ago that I added her. Most models strip to their underwear for the first half of the photo shoot, but she doesn't wear anything under her vest in the vanilla game, so that's probably why I did it that way. Anyway, as soon as Deanna's back, we'll round out the Rangers issue with Comm Officer Green, who's one of the few Rangers who even gets the middle tier Big Finish bonus. Apparently the people who took the poll thought most Rangers are too serious to be sexy. At least the male Rangers. I think a couple of the female Rangers get the top tier attitude bonus. Comm Officer Lank, I'm pretty sure because she's so relieved that you get the Emeritus offer back that she really lets her hair down. And maybe Gomez, who's bored witless keeping the Ranger safe house supplied. But otherwise, I think they're all just about as stoic as their male counterparts. There's an assignment for you on the terminal.
I'm on it.
While she's doing that, I'm going to go
Morning.
Morning, Leslie. I'm going to go talk to my #1 fan, Jazz Wilkins. Well, Lupe might dispute that ranking, but the two of them definitely head up the list. A couple of the customers are in a much bigger hurry than usual to get home. I was talking to my friends here in Sloan, and it turns out that since I cleared the death clause out of Quarry Junction, the quarry workers don't have as much free time for reading. Plus, they probably have so much experience with explosives that there's not much more they can learn from this one. I'm sure they won't mind too much if I borrow it, right? In fact, I think I'll read that right now. I keep forgetting to sell that copy of Guns and Bullets. Explosives increased by 4. My gun skill is already 100, and I have a display copy of Guns and Bullets on the bookshelf in Parum. Which, if the karma system in the game was really sophisticated, one of my friends would come by and borrow.
Morning.
Morning.
Hey there. What's new?
Huh. Jazz doesn't have any recruitment dialogue. Hold on. I remember there being something weird about this. Okay, there was something weird about Jazz. There used to be a conflict between her magazine recruitment dialogue and her movie recruitment dialogue. I fixed it ages ago, but apparently when I went back to test the fix during the original Coito Ergo Sum walkthrough, I never marked her as posed in my planning spreadsheet. So the good news is, we already have enough film in the can for another Merchants and Entrepreneurs theme issue. And we found the last book I needed to guarantee we can get all skills to 100 by level 50, so it wasn't even a wasted trip. Ranger Jackson on the cover, Ranger Erasmus in front, and Comm Officer Green in back. Before I print it, what do you think of the current layout?
Theme issues featuring military personnel are always popular, and these Rangers seem especially formidable. Even better.
As expected, we should get a higher bonus for all Rangers. Thanks.
My pleasure.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Now, it occurred to me that the last major new feature I haven't talked about is exactly what we need right now. The first time you talk to Larry after fixing the satellite comm link, he mentions the possibility of exchanging content. That was always on the agenda for future development. The Luma screen resources for models from DC have been in the game files for the mod since the early days, but as you may have noticed from his dialogue options, I finally got around to implementing it. And there's Jackson's Luma screen. Very nice. Anyway, the main purpose of exchanging content is to fill out a theme issue when you don't have enough local models who are eligible, which is exactly the situation we have with the Great Khan Armorer and the Tribals theme. If we could get a couple top-notch Tribals from Larry, we wouldn't have to settle for a Merchant's theme issue with mediocre bonuses in every section.
This is Larry Slater.
You once said something about exchanging content, so I could use models from DC in my magazine?
Yes, and not just from the Capital Wasteland region. I may have mentioned that we have franchises in other areas as well. However, East Coast geographical distinctions are unlikely to hold much meaning for readers on the West Coast, or vice versa.
You implied that I won't see a sales boost for hometown theme issues with your models.
Well, an exclusive featuring 3 models from the opposite coast should do quite well, naturally. But that mystique won't be further enhanced by limiting it to residents of, for example, Rivet City or The Pit.
Can I publish theme issues for political or cultural factions?
The Brotherhood of Steel has a presence in both regions, of course. It's unlikely we would have become acquainted otherwise. Beyond that, however, the Republic of Dave would mean as little to your readers as the New California Republic would mean to mine.
Some of your other themes don't work for me. Mouthwatering MILFs doesn't really resonate here.
Pity, but I'm sure some categories are universal. Brazen bookworms, girls next door, enticing entrepreneurs, and so on. That said, I'm always open to fresh ideas, and I'm happy to operate within whatever framework you prefer.
Can you provide content for Lollipops Magazine and E3 both?
Sadly, the economic situation in the Capital Wasteland isn't as stable or robust as it seems to be in the Mojave. Circulation numbers for a magazine geared towards women and gentlemen who prefer gentlemen wouldn't justify the expense here. Although, if I can acquire content at no cost, it might be worth it. Yes, if you have film of some hunks, I'll accept it in trade. Bearing in mind that I only have film of women to provide in return, of course.
All right, let's trade some pictures.
Excellent. I can peruse your thumbnails for a model who suits my market without wasting undue network bandwidth or your valuable time. Just tell me what you're looking for from my end, and I'll make a recommendation. It'll take a bit of time to restore the files from backup, compress them for transmission, and send them along, but not more than a day.
And as you can see, you request a theme and he'll suggest someone from the Capital Wasteland who fits it. Most of them haven't changed, but there were some themes in Quo Vadis that don't exist in Coito Ergo Sum, and vice versa. As his dialogue implied, he's happy to use the Coito Ergo Sum categories, which is exactly the case here because we need a tribal. 2, actually, but we'll get to that. I need a tribal.
By tribal, do you mean groups with distinct cultures who remain isolated by geography or by choice from society at large? We definitely have a few of those around here. Branch Tender Maple may be the most traditional. She's an honest-to-goodness druid. She tends a preternaturally green forest. Oh, forgive me. Healthy vegetation likely isn't as rare and mind-blowing there as it is here. Still, she's very lovely and mind-blowing. I stand by my choice. I'll start looking for her files immediately.
So in this particular case, Branch Tender Maple was in the generic exotic category in Quo Vadis, but she obviously fits in the Tribals theme here. And we need one more, but if we ask him now, let's talk about exchanging content.
With pleasure. Shall we make a trade or discuss logistics?
Let's trade some pictures.
I admire your enthusiasm, but I'm still pulling together the files to satisfy your previous request.
Understood. Goodbye.
Until we speak again.
There's a cooldown period. He explained the canonical reason, but the gameplay reason is that every model from the Capital Wasteland gets the Elite tier cover bonus, and most of them get good bonuses in the other sections too, because Larry's curating the content and sending you what he considers his best work. So if there wasn't a cooldown, it would be too easy to basically spam free money by exchanging content over and over. And it is technically an exchange, even though you don't get to pick which photo shoots to send him. Under the hood, it's just a counter. He'll only send you as many photo shoots as you and or Deanna have already done. And like he said, he'll only send you female models because there were no male models in Quo Vadis, but he'll accept male or female models from you. And speaking of male models, I got distracted and forgot to give Deanna her next assignment. Damn it. Back to the saloon real quick. We've sent Deanna after a few people I could have shot myself if I wasn't busy, so let's assign her another exclusive. How about the creme de la creme, the king? And now we just need to find her. There's an assignment for you on the terminal. I think you're going to like this one. Here's your advance.
I'm on it.
I have an idea for what should be the all-time bestseller for He 3, top-tier bonuses for every section, and a double theme bonus, Freeside Merchants. The king is obviously an Elite tier cover guy. I already shot James Garrett, and he's one of the few models who gets the top bonus for any section you use him in. I wouldn't ordinarily put two models with Elite tier cover bonuses in the same issue, but there's an embarrassment of riches in Freeside. There are no less than 6 male models there with the Elite tier cover bonus, so I can afford to have James and the King in the same issue. And when she gets back, we'll send her after Dixon. He'll be the closer, since that's the only section where he gets the top bonus. He's not an exclusive, but he's been available since day one, so just like Manny and Boone, there's nothing new to demo there. In the meantime, I think I can finish a Good Springs theme issue right now. If you saved the Good Springs Settler from Geckos in the tutorial, she used to be available as an assignment for Deanna, but now you can ask her yourself. I think that might be Sonny and Trudy's house, but I'm not sure. Let's check. Yeah, this is their house. Oh, but she's here too.
Mark my words. Won't be long before the Legion and NCR butt heads over Hoover Dam. Thank you.
Want to pose for Lollipops magazine? It pays 50 caps.
Sure. I owe you so much for those geckos.
One small problem. Now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure Sunny Smiles already appeared in the magazine back in the day, so we won't have enough models to do a Good Springs theme, and Larry can't help us there. And the Settler doesn't qualify for any other theme, but I really like her Loomis green, so we'll need to find 2 more models whose eligible themes don't have enough models left to make a complete issue either. I mean, we could just use anybody, but why paint ourselves into a corner with future issues? And I turned off the non-nude patch again because while it avoids doing the digital blur when they get naked, it also makes them look like they're wearing 2 sets of underwear during the first half of the photo shoot, so I'll just avert my eyes now. Okay, Deanna herself on the cover. She actually gets the Elite tier bonus there because she's a famous reporter. And we'll put Henrietta in front, middle tier appearance bonus, and there aren't any other caravanners left who haven't already been in the magazine. And the Good Spring Settler in back, middle tier attitude bonus there. And there's the Loomis green. Courier 6 saved me from geckos! I went with the tabloid motif because she doesn't have a canonical name, and I think it's funny. Any luck with the king?
The king was so eager for his girls. They went wild.
Well, don't sit down. There's another assignment for you on the terminal. I need you to go back to Freeside and shoot Dixon. And just to be clear, I mean take pictures of him. I know he doesn't have a great reputation, but I don't want you to actually shoot him. Here's your advance.
I'm on it.
Looks like we received Branch Tender Maple's photo shoot from Larry, so let's trade some more pictures.
I'd be delighted. Browsing my archives brings back some fond memories.
I need another tribal.
I recommend Woodrose, a tribal priestess from Point Lookout. Intensity, body art, she has the whole 9 yards. I'll get the files together.
Okay, in the interest of giving a demo of new features, I've given up any pretense of serious role-playing at this point. I might be able to kill 3 birds with 1 stone with a Bandits theme issue, First, after we get the latest files from Larry, there's another Capital Wasteland model who switched themes between games that I want to get from him. Tanya Kristoff, aka the Antagonizer, qualified for the Canterbury Commons hometown theme in Quo Vadis, which obviously has no meaning in the Mojave, so in Coito Ergo Sum she's under the Bandits theme. Second, I can send Deanna after Alice Hosteller, one of the exclusives who isn't famous, to hear what Deanna has to say about that. And finally, I want to use Jacqueline, who's a new model. Unfortunately, she only appears as part of a random encounter that can spawn around the Nipton Road pit stop, so I might have to troll the road between the Mojave Outpost and Nipton for a while to see if I can get her to appear. Okay, this completely blows my mind. I was afraid maybe I had the encounter at some point in the past and just didn't remember it. If I did, and I sided with her, then she'd already be on Deanna's assignment terminal, which she isn't. If I sided with Tomas, then she'd be dead, which would explain it because the terminal only lists NPCs who are alive. How does it know? Deanna's a reporter. She knows the news before it happens. Insert technobabble here. The point is, I looked up Jacqueline's ref ID and checked. She's alive, and I never talked to her, and her ref isn't even enabled yet. So why isn't she appearing? Because she's not technically a random encounter. I did a little digging in the GEC, and she only spawns when certain conditions in the game are met. What conditions, you ask, on the edge of your seat? Well, this is the part that blows my mind. Courier Jeff is level 48. I started his very first New Vegas playthrough shortly after I made the Face Gen mod so I can import my real-life face as a character preset, which was in 2015, I think. And get this. He has never found a single Sunset Sarsaparilla Star bottle cap. So let's go find one of those and spawn Jacqueline. Here's one in the Nipton Road rest stop, not to be confused with the similarly named Nipton Road pit stop farther down the road to the east. And a Pugilism Illustrated, which I no longer need, but I can put on the bookshelf in Parum. What have we here? A ruffian accosting a damsel in distress? Unacceptable.
He's crazy. Please help me.
With pleasure, milady. It seems she has some stolen property to retrieve from her attacker.
Thank God you came around. That guy was gonna kill me.
Are you all right?
I am now. I was just minding my own business heading west when that psycho came out of nowhere and started shooting. He kept shouting about stars or something. Does that make any sense to you?
We haven't met Malcolm Holmes yet, and I legit wouldn't have noticed any difference between that star bottle cap and the regular ones when we picked them up. No idea.
No reason it should, I suppose. I need to be going. Thank you again.
Of course, Tomas tells a very different story if you side with him, and there are some pretty strong indications that he was the aggrieved party. Like how Jacqueline is 2 letters off from Jackal, and a gang of Jackal gunslingers lives in that ruin. Or that she tries to kill you if you admit you know what star bottle caps are. But we'll let Courier Jeff believe he just did his good deed for the day. Jacqueline is an exclusive, by the way. I thought about being able to do an on-site photo shoot with her, maybe use the intimidating presence perk or something if you realize she's lying and you just helped her rob Tomas, but her dialogue tree is an absolute train wreck, and I couldn't figure out a way to do it without creating potential conflicts with other mods that change her in some way. So even though we just met her a few hours ago, we'll send Deanna to Sweet Talk her. Also, I got a message on the way home that issues 22 and 23 were published, so let's compare the sales of the Rangers issue to sales of the non-Ranger NCR military issue. Issue 21 was Knight, Boone, and Manny, 144 issues sold. Issue 22 was Jackson, Erasmus, and Green, 120 issues sold. So the extra prestige of having all Rangers in the issue didn't quite make up for the fact that 2 of them were less than ideal for the sections we used them in. All right, let's get Deanna on her way and then see if Larry sent us the files for Woodrose yet. He did indeed. We'll put her on the cover. She gets the elite tier cover bonus. Well, so does Branch Ender Maple, but we'll put her in front. Top tier appearance bonus. Actually, I think Woodrose does too, so it doesn't really matter which way around we put them. And the Great Con Armorer in back. Only middle tier attitude bonus, but you can't have everything when you're already published 24 issues. Before I print it, what do you think of the current layout?
Women like these could even tempt a technophile like myself to go off the grid.
So we will get the tribal theme bonus, as expected. Thanks.
My pleasure.
And let's talk about exchanging some more content.
With pleasure. Shall we make a trade or discuss logistics?
Let's trade some pictures.
Excellent. What do you need?
I need a bandit this time.
Bandits? That's not an angle I had ever considered, but I think I have someone who fits the bill nicely. Are you familiar with pre-war comics, specifically Grognak the Barbarian? Even more specifically, his nemesis, the Antagonizer. A woman here somehow acquired a similar ability to control giant ants and assumed that fictional identity, costume and all. She terrorized my adopted hometown for quite some time before my partner put a stop to her antics. Sorry, couldn't resist. I'll send the files as soon as I pull them together.
Nice one. Goodbye.
I'll speak with you later.
This is what happens when I work on more than one issue at a time. I almost forgot we're also ready for our He3 Ultimate Edition. The King on the cover, elite tier there. James Garrett in front, top tier there. Dixon in back, top tier there. And it should have a double theme, free side, and merchants and entrepreneurs.
Larry Slater speaking.
Before I print it, what do you think of the current layout?
A masterpiece of composition. The common threads between the models make it read almost like a novel. A novel with dirty pictures, of course.
That's the line he always had for issues with two themes. I didn't do separate lines for every possible permutation and combination when you have multiples. There's the Great Con Armorer, who, like the Goodspring Settler, doesn't have a canonical name, but whom I called Connie because, like Larry, I have a certain enthusiasm for bad puns. There's the King, whose Luma screen I apparently forgot to add to the non-nude patch. If I don't move the camera, it's going to be a lot easier to blur this in post. But if you play the mod, you'll see the real reason they call him the King. Here in the Hidden Valley bunker, I can show you 2 more new models and a bug fix.
I heard some special squad of Rangers is on its way to the Vegas area. I guess the NCR is finally getting serious about fighting the Legion. Oh, hey there. Something I can help you with?
Here's some technology trivia for you. Did you know I got He3 magazine up and running again?
That's an interesting story.
My Brotherhood rep isn't maxed. It can't be until you do Lonesome Road, but it's good enough to bypass the speech check. You know how much I've done for the Brotherhood. Why don't you pose for me?
Fine by me.
Like most Brotherhood members, he won't travel to the studio to do a photo shoot, so you have to do it on site, which is actually convenient because I won't have to walk back here to recruit the next one. And setting the layout for this one is going to be a little bit tricky because of how the bonuses shake out. Ramos is an elite tier cover guy, but he's middle tier in appearance and attitude, so we obviously want to use him on the cover, right? Well, not necessarily, and we'll see why in just a minute.
Hello again, my friend. I hope you've been finding the information in the data store useful.
Here's some news I think will interest a scribe. I got the printing press at Lollipops operational.
Interesting. That's a pretty impressive piece of hardware.
You know how much I've done for the Brotherhood. Why don't you pose for me?
You certainly make life more interesting, outsider.
Scribe Ibsen is second tier for the cover, good but not elite, but bottom tier for appearance and attitude. We're doing a photo shoot here.
I heard some special squad of Rangers is on its way to the Vegas area. I guess the NCR is finally getting serious about fighting the Legion.
She just doesn't care. But you know, if the Brotherhood has gotten past the social stigma associated with adult entertainment, and my influence helped even in a small way, then my life has had purpose. Watkins, how you been? She may or may not have had something to do with losing that stigma. And the bug fix I mentioned is that if they make Courier 6 an honorary knight for helping them, which they did, you now qualify for the Brotherhood faction theme bonus. I posed for the magazine ages ago, but I never appeared in it, so that's what we're doing. And whatever other themes I might qualify for, this feels appropriate because I joined these guys to atone for getting Veronica killed. So it's like a memorial. Now here's the dilemma. The Courier's cover potential is determined by reputation, so I'd obviously be elite tier there. The other two sections are on the honor system. You get a message box asking you to rate your appearance and attitude when you do the photo shoot. I don't remember what I picked for appearance, but unless my ego was completely out of control that day, I probably went for middle. And there's no way I didn't pick top tier for attitude, because, let's face it, filth is my middle name. So while my ego is screaming, you deserve the cover, my pragmatism says, but what about sales? So let's think about it logically. If I put myself on the cover, we have elite tier there, middle tier wherever we put Ramos, and bottom tier wherever we put Ibsen. If I put Ramos on the cover, we still have elite tier there, put me in back and that's top tier, and we still have bottom tier in front with Ibsen. We could put Ibsen on the cover, good but not elite, and then have top tier in back and middle tier in front, but the cover is worth more than the other two sections in the calculations. So putting Ramos on the cover and Ibsen anywhere else will sell better than the other way around. So that's the answer. Ramos on the cover, Ibsen in front, and me in back. And let's see what Larry thinks.
Lollipops DC, how may I direct your call?
Before I print it, what do you think of the current layout?
It sounds like the Brotherhood of Steel could use a public relations boost in your neighborhood, and this should certainly provide it.
And we'll just make sure I was right about my big finish bonus.
You are twisted, degenerate, and immoral. The perfect big finish model.
Yes, I was right. There's Ramos. I did a tutorial a while back about customizing Luma screens, and I used Courier Jeff as the example, but I can't find it. So at the moment, it's just the default picture that's always been there. No point showing you that. But something that is worth showing, and I almost forgot, is one of the most important new models. And there she is.
What do you need?
Do you want to pose for Lollipops magazine? I know your preferred medium is video, but...
No worries. I'm vain as shit. I'd like that.
Fresca is necessary for a special new theme, pre-war models, which you can only complete if you have the DLC crossover, because you also need Vera Keys and Dr. Dala. Last week in the Old World Blues walkthrough, I used some console trickery to demo Larry's dialogue about that, but unfortunately, Courier Jeff already used Vera in a previous issue, so that was just a dream. But being an independent movie director, Fresca also qualifies for the Merchants and Entrepreneurs theme. She's an elite tier cover girl, middle tier for appearance, and top tier for attitude, so we can build a pretty solid issue around her. This isn't the layout I'm actually going to use, but because they're close friends, Larry has special comments about Fresca's section bonuses. If you use her as the big finish, he says this.
I'm delighted to see Fresca is still as filthy in front of the camera as she is behind it. She's perfect.
And here's what he says if you put her in front.
How to put this delicately? Fresca's popularity was always more about her genius behind the camera and her enthusiasm in front of it. She's attractive in her own way, of course. Perhaps not everyone's cup of tea, but she'll do. Are you calling from the print shop right outside her studio? You're beautiful, Fresca.
But the real layout will have Fresca on the cover, obviously. I'm happy to say we will be able to use #1 fan Jazz Wilkins after all. She gets the middle tier bonus in front. And we'll put Lupe, our other #1 fan, in back, where she gets the middle tier bonus. And this should be a theme Larry hasn't commented on as well.
Lollipops DC, how may I direct your call?
Before I print it, what do you think of the current layout?
Business people and entrepreneurs can seem so cold and professional. Readers just love seeing their wild side.
And what do you think of Fresca on the cover?
I may be biased, but the inside scoop on a 200-year-old mystery should generate considerable interest. She's perfect.
And there's her Luma screen. I've explained before that these are pre-rendered, not actual screen caps from your photo shoots, and the in-game explanation is the Compositron terminal can put them in a different background than the studio green screen. So there she is, representing the Lollipops brand. I'm impressed that you were able to track Jacqueline down and convince her to pose.
Yeah, that one's crazy. And she's got this necklace made out of caps. Here, take this.
Thanks. She just gave us a new War Dramatic pattern. We'll take a look at that in a minute. There's another assignment for you on the terminal, Alice Hostetler. I don't think I ever met her, so she must be one of your contacts, but my intuition says she's a bandit. Under Accessories, Necklaces, we can now replicate a star cap necklace. And having Deanna shoot Jacqueline is the only way to get this. Presumably she made a sketch or something. Now the only question is, who do we give it to? I haven't given Debbie any new wardrobe recently. Don't want her to feel left out. Had to get her out of bed, but hopefully she doesn't mind.
You got that right.
Just give her the necklace. Very nice. Like anything else from the War Dramatic, it doesn't give you any damage threshold or buffs. It's just for show. Well, I'll let you get back to bed.
I need a drink.
And apparently it's not even made of real caps, since the value is 0. Okay, that makes sense. Alice Hostetler. She was a contact from JT's Black Book, right?
Yep, he knows a lot of bad girls.
Well, I've been running you ragged recently, so why don't you take a break? I'll see you later.
See ya.
We'll put the antagonizer on the cover. Elite tier bonus because she's from the Capital Wasteland. And the fact that she cosplays as a comic book supervillain doesn't hurt. Alice Hostetler in front. And Jacqueline in back.
Bad girls are so exciting, don't you think?
Yes. I just realized Courier Jeff has no reason to put Jacqueline in a Bandits theme issue because he still thinks she was the victim. Well, yes he does. From Deanna's comment and the fact that she had a star bottle cap necklace, it'd be pretty obvious now that she was playing him. Must have been a turf war between two raider gangs or something. Because he most definitely did not shoot an innocent man in the face to get fresh content for the magazine. There's the antagonizer. I'm not sure what the canonical ending is for the Superhuman Gambit quest in Fallout 3, but in the Coito Ergo Sum universe, she obviously survived. And let's also look at Jacqueline with her presumably real star bottle cap necklace. There she is, and she does indeed have it. Now, I'm going to go home, get some food, water, and sleep, and wait for the last few issues to be picked up by the distributor. Issue 25, with The King, James Garrett, and Dixon, sold 200 copies. As far as I know, that's the theoretical maximum for an issue of He3, and it's better than a few issues of Lollipops magazine I've published, so not too shabby at all. I think I've explained before that the difference in sales numbers for magazines with men versus women is based on circulation figures for actual adult magazines, although the difference is much more extreme in the real world. I could speculate on the social and economic implications of that, but we'd be here all day. And there are actually several dozen new models added in the 4.2 update, but I think you get the idea. We're nowhere close to the hard limit on magazine issues you can publish, so I can't show you the new "Congratulations, you maniac" message for reaching it, but I bumped up the total from 60 to 69. This might be hard to believe, but that limit isn't just a joke. It's due to the size limit for scripts on the Luma screens and layout terminals. Although, I admit, I actually hit the limit at 68 issues, so I deleted white space and comments and shortened some variable names to make room for 69. Publishing every available model in Coito Ergo Sum in the DLC crossover will only fill 55 issues. The extra capacity is just there to provide room for NPCs from third-party mods, so it seems pretty unlikely that anyone's ever going to see that message anyway. Beyond that, there are more bug fixes. The full list is on the Nexus page, and some cosmetic things like additional detailing in the Death Valley South area to break up what was admittedly some pretty bland landscape around the Slater mansion, but I'm not schlepping all the way out there to show you some new rocks and scenery. So I think I'm going to call it a day. Thanks for watching. Like, leave a comment, subscribe, and I'll be back soon with the final chapter of the DLC crossover, Lonesome Road.